Hi, this is Lindsey Bennett of PAFootballNews.com. We're here with Tyler Seacrest, the head coach of Canton. The Canton Warriors have been tough for the last 4 years. They've won at least 10 games for 4 years in a row. How you went through heat acclimation and now we're into the second day of preseason. How are things going with the Warriors?
Things are going good. It's hard to believe we're already into the day 2 of contact through heat acclimation. It's been good. The boys have been working hard. It's nice to get on the field and get started, and just already thinking about we're like 10 days away from the opening game. Got a scrimmage coming up Saturday, so there's a lot of work to be done, but it's gone good so far.
Good. How did preseason go? Like the preseason, like with lifting and stuff. What's your regiment for that?
Yeah. What we do through the preseason is we went to we do some 7-on-7 Sunday nights. For about an hour, and then we do a speed. We've got big into the speed and agility training, so we do speed and agility then for an hour, kind of conditioning, speed and agility. That's on Sunday nights, and then Wednesday morning at Canton we do the whole school. I mean, any sports from first graders up to they all go together. We do speed and agility Wednesday mornings.
Yeah, that's pretty
so
neat.
Any sports. So it's just neat to see the seniors alongside a first grader and helping them out. So those are the main things we do. We get together and do that, and then we've traveled to Williamsport. We maybe didn't travel quite as much as we had in the past. We went to Williamsport for 7-on-7 opportunity with them, and then we went up to Waverly. So we had those two, and it went really well. It was good our defense is not going to change a lot. Offense, we had to work on some stuff with some new players, so it was good to get some time in before camp to kind of get us a little bit ahead once we started.
Absolutely. Anytime you can get your tires on the ground before the actual season starts, that's a huge advantage.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, that helped us out.
The NTL is probably tougher this year than it's been, and I can't even remember when.
Yeah.
So how does your guys' schedule pan out, like the beginning, the middle, and the end?
I don't really look at it that way. I mean, I agree with you overall. The NTL is going to be better this year. I think Tawanda and Wyalusing are up and coming teams. I thought Rich Rogers did a really great job in his first year at Wyalusing. Tawanda's got some good kids coming back. And then North Penn's going to be improved, I believe. I think the league's tough, and Troy's at that level where I think they're above everybody else, but when you're that team, everybody's going to be trying to beat you too. So I think you'll see a lot of games, a lot closer games in the end. I think overall teams are getting closer, and you're going to see some closer games this year, some good football games.
That'll be great. That'll be great for the league. And I think this platform, PAFootballNews.com, giving you guys the platform to speak, and the fans and parents and all the people can see and get a personality with the coach. Each coach I interview. And I eventually want to do all the coaches, but there's just not enough time. And hopefully I'm around for years and I get a relationship with all you guys. Like you mentioned game plan a little bit, like you guys are going to have the same offense and defense as last year? Are you guys changing it up because the personnel is different? Or?
There's a little bit of change, not a whole lot. I mean, we have some senior leadership back, some kids that have played in some big football games that understand what we've been doing. So we're just going to tweak it here a little bit in the hair, a little bit here and there. One thing that isn't a secret that we've done in the past is we've run a couple quarterbacks for a couple reasons. It gives teams they got to plan for a couple different kinds of offenses, and then I like to have one ready because in high school football you never know. So I like to have one getting some reps, and if you're fortunate enough, like we have, to have a couple quarterbacks, which we still do. The one year we had 4 different guys quarterback. You know what I mean? And I think it's in my first couple of years we weren't that fortunate, but we had one quarterback. But when you do, I like to give them both some work, and that way they're both getting game reps and they're ready to go. So
it's kind of like Jimmy said last year. Like some of his guys got hurt, so it forced some of the underclassmen to step in and step it up, which kind of was sucky then because they're green. But by the end of the season rolls around, they're seasoned veterans, and going into this year, they got tons of playing time because of your misfortune. And
they improve that. A lot of times an injury like that happens, at the time you think it's the worst thing that could happen to the team. But I've seen a lot of times with teams that they've found something out when that injury. And hopefully that player's coming back, but they find somebody that can do something they didn't realize what actually turned out to be a plus in the end, even though when you have an injury, it seems like it's a negative thing. But
and it gives you that extra depth where when you go on a deep playoff run, that depth is, and you know from experience, is invaluable.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you get a kid that has just a little bit more confidence because he's been in some varsity action for whatever opportunity, an injury of a teammate that's ahead of him for a couple games or whatever, that could be key down the road in a pivotal position that could help him make a play that would help the team. So yeah,
absolutely,
I agree with that.
Like during the practices and the preseason here, like do you have a lot of competition for different open spots? Because your team, the reason I ask that is because your team is really small, and like there's not 7 guys going for defensive end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's not as much competition as usual. This year we kind of have some younger guys, and we have some older guys. So there's some guys that are ready for that varsity level, and there's some guys at this point in the season aren't quite ready for it. So the competition level isn't quite that with the smaller numbers, what it's been some years.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, you still like to have that competition in practice, just to get them better. With lower numbers, you're kind of careful what you do with contact in practice.
Yep.
If you don't have as many, just because you can't afford those injuries.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. How we talked about numbers a little bit. What's like to you being the Canton coach for 9 years? What are good numbers?
Well, for us at Canton, we've been at like 35.
That's a good comfortable number.
That's a good
for
comfortable.
you?
That's probably been our averages over the time I've coached. I think we've been close to 40. We've been in the low 30s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's been right around there, and we just have a couple smaller classes here in Canton right now. Our 9th grade classes I think only has like 21 boys in it out of 40 students. So it's just the numbers just aren't there. But after that, junior high, we got 29 kids in 2 grades, and then the 5th and 6th grade got like 29, 30 kids. So they'll be back. It's just one of those small school things where we just don't have. I mean, we're at 27, which is great for Class A school. I mean, it's not like we're in trouble, but it's just harder to do things with less numbers.
Nice to have them 7 or 8 extra guys.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. Yeah.
Now you have being in Canton, you guys have played in some very huge games in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And with that being said, you have a target on your back from some of these other schools that have played you, and you've stomped them in a few times. Now they're getting up there on par with you.
Yeah.
Like, how does the kids and how do the coaching staff react to that kind of pressure?
Well, I don't know how you react to it, but I know the same feeling. Like after you get pounded a few years, my first couple of years we got pounded by some teams. It feels good to give it back to them when you get a chance. So a lot of these teams are going to be looking to do that. They can't. So that's just going to have to raise the level we play because we know we're going to get the best out of everybody.
Yep.
I mean, they're looking. Hey, Cannon's beat us the last few years, and it's the cycle of NTL small school football.
Yep.
I mean, there's large school, which we're in small school, but compared to the rest of the state, we're some smaller schools. So it's just they're going to be looking to get Canton, and they'd be glad that'd be something they'd like to do this year, and that's something we'd like to not have happen.
Yeah.
So
they'd like that feather in their hat, and you guys are saying.
I don't think quite yet. We'd like not that to happen, but hey. That's what's going to make some games great this year.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't think there's a lot of difference between a lot of the teams, and it's going to depend on who's healthy and momentum and how they're playing. I mean, I think if you play the next week, it could go the other way.